Just talking about what happened to us and what we're going through helps our healing process, helps to verbalize how we feel. It's been 3 years now. It helps us to heal when we hear his name spoken.
Yeah.
When people ask about Christopher, we love talking about him. We love hearing his name said out loud. So all that just helps.
Tell me about Christopher.
Okay, he was adopted. We got Christopher when he was 14 months old. He's a happy child. His mother had a lot of issues, drug addiction, alcoholism, things like that. So he came into our life when he was 14 months old. I think he had a pretty happy childhood, happy, well-liked, made friends easily. He was quite impulsive. He would do anything on the drop of a hat. He would just, if someone dared him to do something, he would do it pretty much. But very sweet heart, just a good hearted kid. When he was about 10 and 11, he lost his grandmother about that time. Just began asking questions about who his birth mother was and had a lot of issues there. It all kind of came together and kind of formed some depression issues with him. And then when he was 14 is when he took his life. He had just turned 14. He was an 8th grader at Boiling Springs Middle School. And it just threw our lives into a whole nother realm, you know. But he's a handsome boy, loved to fish, just had a lot of friends. He really cared about people. But he just was just very impulsive, some depression issues, like I said, and did not like school, but he just was loved by everybody that knew him.
And so walk me through those first weeks, months, first year.
Well, of course, immediately upon finding Christopher, you know, that he had died, we were a total wreck, devastated. Can't explain how devastated we were. Total loss, but we just give the credit to God. To be honest, we know that God was with us. He helped us walk us through it. But we had a lot of questions. Went through all the questions. What if? You know, what if we had done this? What if we had done that? We believe God helped us walk through all those what ifs. We had to just give it to Him and say, you know, it was out of our hands. Nothing we could have done. God's bigger than anything that we could have done or not did. And we believe that we just had to just find peace there. And but just day by day, slowly, we began to receive our peace in our heart, and God began to mend our hearts. And it's a process. It still is a process right now. I've been in ministry for 40 years, primarily as a children's pastor and education director at churches. So we have a good support system through our church that helped a whole lot, having people that cared about us and supported us. Been around working with children and youth for 40 years. And so that, I think that helped us a lot. And we put everything in God's hands. We believe that God helped us to walk through this. And I believe that even when people might not believe in God completely, I believe God still does help people, because he's a loving God and cares for people.
Have you had a chance to help others who've gone through similar trials?
Yes, we actually have. I'm in contact with probably 2 or 3 people right now whose child has expressed suicidal thoughts, being bullied at school. I've met, in fact, just a few weeks ago, we met with a young lady that was wanting to take her life, that we talked with and help the parent as well as the child walk through. We've had several people that have contacted us and met with them and talked with them, and I still keep in contact with them, making sure they're doing okay and walking through this.
Tell me about the Christopher's Hope Foundation.
Okay, yeah. Well, within, I'd say 3 or 4 months after we lost Christopher, my wife mainly, we began looking online and trying to find some way to help other parents not go through what we went through. So just been looking, and came across Hope Squads. Both of us independently contacted Dr. Hudnall, and he sent us each an invitation to come out to an advisor training in Utah. So each of us responded positively, say, yes, we will. So we got home that day, and guess who I talked to today? She said, well, I guess who I talked to today. So we realized we both had contacted him. So we came out right about a year after we lost Christopher, went through advisor training. And then we just said, this is what we want to do. We said Hope Squad is the best program that I believe can help other parents and helps young people, and we can make a difference through this. So we came back and began setting up our 501c3 Christopher's Hope Foundation. It was approved in July of that year. And so we launched a website, sent out emails asking for donations to support Hope Squad. Dr. Hudnall came out for advisor training. Of course, yeah, he does a great job. Got that first 2 schools started. It was 2 schools Christopher went to, High Point Academy and Boiling Springs Middle School.
Okay.
So they got started. Then we began fundraising, and we're able to start 5 more schools the next year. And we sponsored 4 more schools this year. So it's a total of 12 funds now to sponsor 5 more now, and probably 5 more in the spring. So hopefully by this time next year, we'll have, around 22, 23 schools we're looking at. Yeah. So it's been a great thing. Part of me personally, the way that I respond is by doing something as far as grief. I just get a lot of satisfaction from doing something and just moving forward, acting on something.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been quite a ride. We're just thrilled that we're able to get these schools started in this area. And we look forward to a lot more getting started. In this area, we're in District 2 of Spartanburg County, and we have helped sponsor schools in Chesney High School, Chesney Middle School, Rainbow Lake Middle School, Boiling Springs Middle School, Shola Creek Elementary, Oakland Elementary, Chesney Elementary, Hendricks Elementary, High Point Academy. That's here in Spartanburg County. And then we've actually launched 2 schools in Greenville County, our neighboring county, Fisher Middle School and East North Street Academy. So we're just real thrilled to get those started and looking forward to a lot more. We have a vision to place a Hope Squad in every school in South Carolina. We want to, try to move forward in our vision. There's some resistance among principals sometimes. So Dr. Hudnall recommended I maybe go through the school boards and talk to the principal and get in that way. I just joined the Chamber of Commerce a few weeks ago and met with some folks there, and I believe they're going to help get behind us. maybe create some sponsorships or at least help us get the word out more. For someone who's lost a child, hearing your son's name mentioned is one of the most joyous things you can have. And so just for other folks that maybe are talking to someone who's lost a child, one of the most refreshing things you can hear is, like you just said a minute ago, tell me about Christopher. That's just like music to our ears. That's something we really like to hear. We like hearing his name. Every time we say Christopher's Hope, we're saying his name. It brings us joy to attach his name to the foundation. And it's just, it helps healing. It really does.
What is involved in setting up a foundation like what you've done?
Okay, well, it's pretty simple, to be honest. You register with IRS as a charitable foundation. It's not that expensive if you just don't go through somebody else. You get a letter of determination. They determine what you are. That is, we are a 501c nonprofit charitable foundation, able to receive donations. And then you have, in our state, you have to register with the Secretary of State. That's pretty much it. It's not that expensive. We had a friend of ours help us get our website started at christophershope.org. We need to update it some, but it's a website people can make donations to. I promote through Facebook quite a bit. We've done a few events. That's the biggest thing. It would be nice to have some corporate backing and support us. It's real exciting.
Obviously, you had relationships at Christopher's schools.
Mm-hmm.
How did you go about contacting the other schools and getting more schools on board?
Well, to be honest, I just sent an email to the principals. And so now we have 5 elementary schools as part of our Hope Squads in this area. So I will send a letter to a principal and say, of an elementary school, we have 5 elementary schools on board. Here they are. We love to add you to our group and sponsor your school with the Hope Squad. So I've kind of taken that approach. We would like to sponsor 4 or 5 schools immediately through the end of this year. And then we'd like to sponsor 5 more schools in the spring. Of course, our ultimate goal is to have every school that wants one in South Carolina to have a Hope Squad. I have applied for grants to some corporations. One of our goals is to have a corporate sponsor. Teachers, parents, principals, school boards, Chamber of Commerce have a presentation tailored to every arena that I'm in. So I'm going to do that. Yeah.
Okay, so as you reflect on the last 3 years, giving advice to those who are grieving loss, the survivors of suicide loss, and then those who are struggling with suicidal ideation, as well as the parents and loved ones of those who are, what would be the biggest advice that you would give?
Okay. Well, the biggest advice I would give would be to ask for God's help. And whether they're a believer or not, God's a big God. I think God will help people through times of trouble. One other thing I would say is that it's a day-by-day process. Things will get better. It won't happen overnight, but things will get better eventually. One thing we learned is that grieving is the cost of loving. We grieve because we love. If we didn't love somebody, we wouldn't grieve. Grieving's not all bad. Grieving is a good thing because it's showing that you love that person that you lost. We still grieve now, but we're not debilitated or handicapped or victims. We grieve regularly, but it's not a debilitating grief. It's something that motivates us to do something to help other people. So out of our grief, we have a desire to help others, not to go through what we went through. I would say to someone that lost a child, first thing I would say was that I can't understand how you feel exactly. Even though we've lost somebody, I don't know their pain. No one can know the pain of the person except that person. And so, but all I know is that, over time, it'll get better. We found that grief and joy and grief and hope can coexist together. Because we grieve doesn't mean we don't have any hope. It means we don't have any joy. Joy is there in your heart. If you know the Lord, you have joy, and even though we grieve, doesn't mean that we can't have joy also. It's kind of a paradox. grief doesn't take away everything that you have. We still grieve daily, but we're also moving forward. One thing that no one should ever say to anybody who's lost anybody, should never be told to get over it, or you've got to move on, or you've got to get this behind you. In time, you do step forward, start making progress, but it's not something that you get over. And no one should ever tell anybody, get over it, or you got to get beyond this, or you got to suck it up, kind of thing. That's a horrible thing for anybody to ever say. Fortunately, no one's ever said that to us. We've been blessed to not hear that. People, it takes time. Everyone's got to grieve in their own way, and sometimes it takes years and years for people to start moving forward. We were fortunate, I think, because of our support system and our faith, that we may have started moving forward quicker than some. There's no certain timeline that people have to follow. People just have to work through their grief and work through this process and all the steps, and come to the conclusion that, we don't understand why things happen. God does. And somehow, miraculously, God will bring something good out of it in time, like he's doing with us now. I believe that's available for everybody if they choose to, and something good could come out of it eventually. We've basically dedicated the rest of our lives to helping any way we can other parents, and helping young people to not experience what we did. I'm retired now. I've dedicated my life to just helping other parents and kids to move forward. Yeah, I would say for someone who's lost someone, it'll get better eventually over time. You have to forgive yourself. We've had to forgive ourselves for anything that we didn't do or should have done or shoulda, coulda, woulda. You have to forgive yourself and just give it to God and say, whatever I didn't do, God's forgiven me if I didn't. And, we know that now we believe that he's healed now. We believe he's in heaven, and we believe he's complete. So we take a lot of comfort in the fact that we believe he's with God. And so that helps us a lot, knowing that. That's called, the blessed hope is knowing in the ultimate end of things, he's in heaven, and he's healed and well.